This is episode 4 with Samantha, Lotus. Your challenges don't define you. However, how you choose to handle them does. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Laugh at Adversity podcast. I'm your host, Gary Savoy. Having overcome medical trauma, I've made it my mission to uncover all of the secrets to overcoming life's challenges and living a better life. Each week, I will bring you an inspiring person or message. You'll hear from some of the most inspirational people on this planet, including those who have overcome adversity firsthand. My goal is to provide you with everything you need to conquer your challenges and to turn your struggles into strengths. This episode with Samantha was a really fun one for me to record. At 26, Samantha was diagnosed with a form of blood cancer and told that she needed to start chemotherapy and radiation. Not wanting to accept that as her first option of treatment, Samantha opted for a different approach and began to heal herself in a multi-faceted natural approach. She has made it her mission to facilitate the practice of naturopathic self-healing through self-care, self-love, empowerment, and much, much more. In this episode, we discussed why she decided to opt out of chemo. We also talked about why we need to pay attention to what we're prescribed and diagnosed with, and also why so many doctors aren't taught about the natural healing path. We also discussed how her belief system was keeping her sick, and the reason why people are afraid to be happy. We also talk about why each of us are perfect and how we can handle negative self-talk. Samantha also goes into the common denominator between diseases, why life is just a video game, and how we can stay committed in the midst of distractions. So without further ado, here's my interview with Samantha, Lotus. Hi, Samantha. Welcome to the Laugh at Adversity podcast. It's great to have you on.
Hey, Gary. Thank you so much. I'm pleased to be here.
So I know we connected on Instagram, and you have a very interesting story. So I think I'd like to start off just by talking about how at 26 you were diagnosed with cancer, and I'd like to get a little bit of a background of the process and what you were diagnosed with, and then talk a little bit about kind of the options that you chose in your healing process.
Yeah. So the background with that was like most North Americans, I grew up, just eating a lot of processed foods, lots of junk food, wasn't the healthiest, didn't exercise all that much, just kind of went through years upon years of going in and out of getting sick all the time, recurring illness, never really feeling great. And it kind of came to a culminating point a few years ago where I just knew that something was really wrong. I was unable to get through a full day without needing to sleep, like napping for 4 hours in the day, just feeling completely deteriorated. My eyes, you could just tell by looking at me, like swollen eyes all the time, dark circles, just really feeling awful. And all of the systems in my body started to shut down. My hormonal system, my endocrine system, my neurological system, my digestion was off, just everything. All of the signs are pointing to this. This doesn't look so great. It looks a little grim. So I went to many doctors actually, and they all kind of bounced me around thinking it was this or that or the other thing. And finally I went to a live blood cell microscopist, and they took a look at the cellular anatomy of my blood and what was going on. And they just found that there was a systemic infection that had spread through my body. And and so then going and seeing a few different specialists, they said that it looked as if there was a cancerous blood situation and that I could have to go and get like a bone marrow biopsy and all sorts of things. But through seeing holistic naturopaths and so forth, I had just realized that the medical allopathic route wasn't the way I was going to go. And I wasn't really interested in their treatments and their diagnoses. And so I went a natural route with my healing protocol.
So it's interesting because this all happened when you were 26. And I don't think age really matters. I think no matter who you are and what age you are, that when you get a diagnosis such as, you have cancer, when you hear those words from a doctor, it can be overwhelming. And I feel like a lot of people probably shut down and don't always listen to the doctors or for the approaches, and also take the time to investigate other approaches that aren't just, what their doctor suggests. So I
Yeah.
know we talked a little bit before and you decided to opt out of chemo. So what led you to that decision? And also, what was your thought process?
Yeah, it was twofold. First, my mother had cancer when I was 15. She went through a thyroid cancer, and I was there at the oncologist appointments with her taking notes because she was so overwhelmed and frightened. So I was there to support her and to take notes. And just through observation of her oncologist and how forceful and aggressive and just really condescending and using all these fear tactics on her, just saying,
Right.
like, if you don't go for chemotherapy this month, you will die and your blood will be on my hands. And I heard the oncologist say this to my mom. And when I was, and then I saw her journey. And when I was going through this, I just thought, well, like this can't be the only answer. It just didn't make sense. And then the other side of the story was that I had already been studying naturopathy and really investigating what cancer actually is and what the root cause of it is. And just understanding that cancer is a response to something in the body. It's not just a random mutation of cells. It's actually the body telling you that there's something underlying going on. And so it didn't make sense to take a therapy that just bombs your whole body, which is what chemotherapy does. It just blasts all of your cells. It makes more sense to systematically go in and uncover the root cause and heal that right at the root. So yeah, that's kind of what happened there. And asking the questions, right? Like when you get a diagnosis, you don't just take that. When you get a prescription, you don't just take it. You have to ask, well, what is this and why? What is it doing to my body? What are the effects? What are the options? And you have to be analytical and you have to do your research.
Right. And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with. I know for me especially, I spent probably a year bouncing around between doctors. And it was small steps, of doing the research, but how were you able to, I think your background helped a little bit, but how are you able to start asking those questions and doing that investigative work?
Yeah, I just feel, it's everywhere, even on commercials when you see about they're promoting different drugs and you listen to the last 15 seconds and it tells you all of the adverse reactions that it could have. Like most things might lead in death. Well, you have to pay attention to that, right? You have to pay attention. If this drug that they're giving me could potentially lead to making everything worse and I could go into a coma and die, it's like, well, you have to ask, what is this drug doing? Right. And we have the universe at our fingertips. It's called Google. You go on and you just type like, what is this drug doing? What is it made out of? How is it going to affect me? Well, why? Why am I even taking this? What's going on in my body that they're giving me this for? Right. And so it's just, asking the questions, what, why, how, where, when, and really investigating that. And there's so many resources from podcasts to just Google to PubMed to amazing textbooks on natural healing or even just anatomy and physiology. Like information is really endless.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point because, you take one pill and you end up with 15 other side effects, which ends up leading down, this effect of multiple pills and more side effects. And then you start to live, in a worse state than what you originally were.
Yeah.
So I know you're definitely on the side of the natural path. So like, why do you believe that, doctors don't tell us that we can heal ourselves? And what are some of the options that we can use to heal ourselves?
So the first question, why doctors don't tell us, I believe it's not that they're withholding information. I just believe that they don't know, right? Many doctors go into medical school, like myself. I went to pre-med. I thought I was going to be a psychologist or psychiatrist, and you're not taught, right? The curriculum that you learn was written 35 to 40 years ago, and all of the tools that doctors are given are what's pushed by the pharmaceutical industry. Right. And their curriculum is based predominantly, like the treatment side, by what's being pushed by the government and the pharmaceutical industry. And so where in their agenda do they benefit if we don't need their drugs? Right. And so
Right.
it's not in the education system. It's not in the curriculum. Doctors don't know. And actually, doctors can lose their licenses to practice if they even offer an alternative that's natural.
Really?
Yes, really. They can lose their practice if they recommend, even if they recommend some herbs that are naturopathic. Like they are not allowed to. And it's this crazy, we're not going to get into the conspiracy aspect of it,
Right.
but the limitations are really, really unbelievable.
So how are you able to find those natural approaches? And I guess I'd like to also understand, was it was it exercise? Was it just really focused on healthy eating? Was it, meditation and trying to calm your nerves? Like what
hmm
paths did you choose that were able to heal yourself?
Yeah, I feel that it's all of it because it's all interconnected. And so in my practice now, I specialize in psychoneuroendoimmunology, which is the big mouthful of a word for the connection between the psyche, the endocrine system, so your hormones, which are the messengers, your neurological system, and your immune system. So when you get sick, it's not just because one system uh, is being affected. It's your whole body. All of the systems are being affected. And so it's really imperative to take a multidisciplinary approach. And this is not what I did. At first, I thought it was just diet. So I cut out all of the sugars. I cut out all the processed foods. I did all of the detoxes and the chlorella, the spirulina, and really cleansed out my body at a cellular level, which is what cleared up the cancerous situation in my blood. It cleared up the systemic infection. However, I didn't really feel that much better. Like my body was physically getting better, but I still felt really sick, really like just depressed and dark and heavy and sick. I wasn't well. And that's where the psychological aspect came in. Like, what was my mind? What was my mindset?
Hmm.
And how was that contributing to my sickness? And then the spiritual aspect as well. Like, did I want to be well? Did I really want to be well, or was a part of me contributing to my body starting to break down? And that was a whole other rabbit hole that I got to dive down into. And so, yeah, it's really mind, body, spirit, life as well, and taking it all into account and looking at every different aspect of your life and seeing where there are cancers in each different aspect.
Right. And I'd like to dig a little deeper into the mind because you mentioned that you first started with, the food and eating healthier and you saw a little bit of improvement, but you still didn't feel fully healthy. So how are you able to continue to grow your mindset and, reach outside the box, outside of food and, into the psychological area and, like self-care and self-love?
Yeah. So for the first year of my healing journey, I didn't really believe that I could get better. I'd been sick for a really long time, almost my whole life, on and off, and I felt like I had tried everything, seen so many doctors, done a million different things, and I just didn't think I was going to get better. And so after a year, I was seeing two doctors and a naturopath, and I just told the naturopath, I'm like, I just don't imagine myself going to get better. And she looks at me right in the eyes, and she's like, and that is why you're still sick. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, well, if you don't believe that you're going to get better, you won't. I'm like, what does belief have to do about it? I'm taking everything. And she's like, no, your mind controls everything. Like, right, all of the processes in your body, they're stimulated by messengers sent by your brain. And if your brain says you're staying sick, you're going to stay sick. And that really just kind of blew my mind. And I had this kind of epiphany moment where I was like, wow, yeah, my belief system could potentially be keeping me sick.
So do you think that your belief system was probably one of the strongest points that were able to transition you from victim to victor in your healing process?
There was that started a shift, and then just life kind of happened. I was also in a job I didn't really like. My relationship wasn't going so great. My relationship with my family wasn't great. I was feeling really down about myself, and so my body started to get a little better, but then psychologically I felt very, very depressed. And there was an instance where I got really sick, and I thought I was actually going to die, and I was having extreme pains in my liver. I thought that my gallbladder was going to explode. I didn't really know what was going on, but I thought I was going to die. And so I called an ambulance, and I was waiting for the ambulance, and my body just felt like it was shutting down. I got so cold. And I just started to cry and cry and cry. And I kind of had this, I don't know, it's not that I heard, or I had this moment where I asked myself, or something kind of asked me, was like, do you want to live or do you want to die?
Mm.
And I had to stop and ponder this question, and I was burst into tears, because I think that for a long time I kind of wanted to die. Like I didn't really see the point in doing life. I was like, well, nothing's really great. There's no joy. What's the point? It's like this hamster wheel rat race, and I just don't even really want to do it. And then I had that epiphany that I was like, oh my God, if I don't really want to live, is that why my body is shutting down? And then I was faced with the choice, well, do I want to die or do I want to live? And it just hit me. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, I definitely want to live. And so if I want to live, what do I have to do? Well, I have to get my mind straight. I have to get my energy straight. I have to get my emotions straight, my body straight, my nutrition, and just optimize and take care of all aspects. And that truly was when everything changed for me.
So it was more so that event, but also a series of events that kind of happened before that were able to help you change that mindset and realize that you wanted to live and you were going to do whatever it took to get better.
Yeah, exactly. It was like little pokes along the way. And that one was just a big smack right in the face to really wake me up. Yeah, to really wake me up.
Yeah, I think it's funny because I know we've connected for a little while, and just hearing you talk about those darker points in your life, it's interesting because a lot of what you post on your social media account is all about self-love. It's all about the relationships and the connections that you make with people. And it's just very interesting to see that you struggled with it so much at one point, but now it seems to be one of your strengths. And I also I'm guessing that's probably why you feel so responsible for teaching self-care and self-love.
Yeah, I feel now that I'm saying the things that I wish I would have heard. I'm saying the things like, you are enough, you are loved, like you're valuable, you're worthy. These are things that people just don't hear often enough, and they're not saying to themselves often enough. I feel that we live in kind of a society where there's so much hierarchy, and there's so much racism and sexism and abuse and bullying and all sorts of things. I mean, there's so much beauty in the world as well, but there's just a lot of competition and self-hate and degradation of just the way that we feel about ourselves. And I really feel that that's the cancer in the world. It's just the negativity and the low self-worth and the low self-talk and all of that. And so, if I could kind of inspire even just one person to think, hey, maybe I am worthy of my own love. Maybe I am worthy of feeling good and being happy. Then my job is done.
Yeah, I think you're right, because there is so much negativity in this world, and that could be a huge contributor to the reason why cancer rates are so high. I also feel like, people are more comfortable almost in a negative state of mind. And when they see other people that are happy or always expressing love or a vibrant personality, they feel as if it's like that person's almost crazy. So do you ever experience that with some of the people that you interact with, that, they might come off as, your personality might be too crazy? Like, why do you love life so much? Why do you love people so much? Do you ever experience that?
I do, yeah. Quite a few of my clients actually start coming to me, and initially they just say, like, I can't even imagine, like, I don't understand how you can be happy. And when we get down to the bottom of it, there's an envy, like they want that, but more so than that, they're afraid that if they try to be happy and they fail, then it just proves to them that they are so broken. So they'd rather just stay there without trying and proving, because then they still maybe have a hope. But by maybe going after being happy, and then they just see, like, oh, well, what if I just can't? What if I fail? And then it's real doom and gloom. So I feel that, yeah, it's just this fear of imagining that it's impossible for them. That's where the faith comes in, the faith that things can get better.
Yeah, I think that's what I was going to ask. So how do you work with, your clients and teach them to embrace self-love and self-care when it's probably really uncomfortable for most of them?
Mm-hmm. I do believe that at the core of our being, we are love and light. Like I really believe, if you even just like on a biological, everything, every atom is just energy, right? And what that is just light, and we can call it love. But so I feel that at our core, everybody knows that there's some truth to the fact that you are deserving, like deep down, maybe hidden under all of the layers. And so what I do is I kind of pull an Aladdin moment, and I just say like, do you trust me? Will you take this leap of faith and maybe just believe me even for 5 minutes? And then I tap into that core and just say like, you deep down at your core, underneath all of the pain and the trauma and the guilt and the blame and the shame and all of that, you are perfect. And you just really, you instill that in the person that like they are magical, wonderful, perfect, and they have so much potential and they can get better. They can be whatever they want to be. And it comes down to the belief. And if you can tap into that and get them to maybe even just try to accept that for 5 minutes, you see this switch that is flipped, this awakening, their pupils dilate. They just kind of like wake up a little bit and like, whoa, okay, maybe that is true. And then I go, wow, okay, great. So if that is true, how does that change your relationship to this? How does that change how you eat? How does that change how you exercise? How does that change how you speak to yourself if you are worthy of love? And we just go hypothetical, and we do it for the first month. Let's just pretend for a month that you are amazing. And then it's this success that fuels their ambition, this ambition that fuels their success. And then it just becomes a momentum of feeling better and better and better. And that's where really the magic is.
So do you start off with small steps, such as like daily, every morning or every night, you just have affirmations with your clients that help them build that mindset? Because, going from where you were a few years ago to where you are now is a long journey, and there are a lot of steps in that process.
Yeah. Yeah. So there are 2 exercises actually that I have all of my clients do right away when we start. And as my company is called Real Life But Better, I get my clients to write out or draw out what their real life but better is, essentially what their dream life is. And I have them write it out in the present tense. So I, Samantha, am living on a beach house near the ocean with family that I love, just that in a positive present tense. And to have them visualize their dream life. That is the first step. And then another exercise that we do is I have all my clients write out all of the negative things that they think about themselves, everything, all the negative stories, all of the negative traits. And then on the other side of the paper, we have them write the opposite. And then just have them scratch out all of the negative and focus on the positive and say the positive things to themselves as positive affirmations every single day for the first month. Really imagining it, really feeling it, really visualizing it, and really just taking the leap of faith to potentially imagine that it could be true. And that in itself is really, really profound in terms of its results. Just those 2 exercises.
Yeah, that's really powerful. So how do you teach your clients to handle, I mean, we all have the negative, self-thoughts, whether you're a mindset guru, I feel it's just a matter of accepting those thoughts and moving on quicker versus, dwelling on those thoughts. So how do you help them, have those thoughts, but also get over them quicker?
Yeah, I like to be a little bit silly with this and get people to imagine that it's either this like negative little gremlin. So negative thoughts can be these gremlins, or they can be these like dark force intruders. And you just have to be aware. Your job is just to be aware when your mind is psychologically under attack. And so when this negative self-talk comes in, maybe for, everyone, but a lot of my women clients, in the mirror in the morning after their shower, they look at their body. Oh, you're fat. Or, oh, you don't look good. You be aware and be like, oh, wow, that's a negative gremlin. And then you just say like, okay, negative gremlin, like you are not welcome here because I'm actually beautiful. And so it's about being aware of this negative thought or emotion that comes up, and then just realizing that it's just contrast. It's not the truth. It's just a dark force or a gremlin trying to, bombard your psyche. And so that's a kind of fun exercise to do. And then in terms of emotions, say like fear, shame, or guilt, it's important to allow your body to feel it, to say, okay, well, what is this teaching me? What is the lesson here? And then let it go by saying, okay, I see, I learned, thank you. And I don't need to hold you within my body. I can just let that go and move on and learn from this experience. And forgiveness, forgiving yourself, that's huge. That's so key.
Yeah, I think forgiving yourself, that's a really good point, because I know that's something that I struggled with for a while, and that's kind of where my situation turned, where I realized that I had the power to make change in my life, was when I realized that, it's okay. I can't regret the decision I made of, having surgery, and I was able to move on. And that's when I was able to really start to create healing and to create space in my life.
I'm really glad to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just think it's definitely a really good point. It's really accurate. So a lot of what you work on it seems like it's more of, building empowerment in others. And it started off with you building empowerment in yourself. So how have you been able to create such a larger purpose with Real Life But Better?
Well, yeah, I see what's going on in the world, and follow the stats, and just the fact that 1 in 2 Americans have a chronic disease right now, and 1 in 4 Americans are obese, and over 100,000 people kill themselves every single year. And I see this and I'm like, okay, the common denominator of all illness, disease, anxiety, depression is really the negativity, negative emotions, being held and stored within the body, toxins, all of these different things, just like chemicals, toxins, negative emotions. And so what I see a need for is detoxification, meaning cleansing the negative, harmful things from our body, and bringing in just more self-love, right? And all of our actions, all of our relationships, everything is an expression of either self-love or self-abuse. And so if everybody could just do things and think things and say things and be more loving and less negative, well, then I don't believe that there would be disease or illness, depression, anxiety on the planet. And I want to live in a world where everyone's blissfully happy. I think that'd be great. And so if I can have a part in sharing that vision and sharing that mission and recruiting other wellness warriors to just get on the bliss train with me, I think, that would be wonderful. And it's working. People like it. People want to be happy. They want to be blissful. They want to be free and fulfilled and vital and healthy. So it spreads. It's positivity spreads.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think, just to clarify, when you talk about detoxing, you're not just talking about, going on one of those 10-day juicing challenges. You're talking about something that's more deeper and more meaningful, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel that as a naturopath, I work with bioindividuality. And so I do find there is a physical aspect, right? Like my systemic infection, I went to Thailand and I ate food that I got food poisoning and it went systemic. And so that's not just a mindset thing there. That's really knowing, okay, well, what is in my body? What was the parasite? What was the bacteria? And what are the natural herbs and foods that I can cleanse that with? So in healing, like it's important to know what is going on in your body and what can eradicate that, what can cleanse that out. But then, if you're not going through a severe healing crisis and you do just want a bit of a reset, doing a 10-day cleanse where you're, juicing great things and eating super healthy and being mindful and letting go and journaling and being at peace and turning off your phone, I do think that's really powerful. It is a really nice way to just cleanse out the negative and reset and restart. It just depends on what your goals are and where you're at currently.
Yeah, and I think part of it too is, people like to see, it's like going to the gym, right? So people like to see results quickly. And I think the detoxing, they might feel well, after a few days or a week of doing it, but the stuff that you're talking about, much deeper, of coming in a calm state of mind and writing out your thoughts, that might be a longer process, but there's definitely a much bigger reward than just doing, a physical 10-day healthy juicing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think doing the both, if you're gung ho and you really want a fresh start on life right now, great. Do a 10-day reset. Don't starve yourself and only drink water for 10 days right away in your first fast or cleanse, but do something that's nice to reset your body, but then also have the long-term sustainable lifestyle goals in there, where it is the 1 day a week intermittent fasting and a couple days a week journaling and a couple days a week meditating and getting into a healthy exercise regime and then it's just cumulative and building upon the foundation that you've started. It could be a cleanse, but the first foundation is the mindset of I desire to improve. I desire to feel great. I desire to take care of myself, to be a lifestyle alchemist, to embody everything that I desire for my life. That's really first and foremost. And so if you make that decision, you can start feeling great right away.
Right. Yeah. And the other thing too is that's how you create balance in your life, is by attacking all of those areas and not just one single one.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You can see it as like a wheel, the wheel of health with different slices of the pie, and each one is a different category in your life. And it's cool to draw this out and just think, okay, in the relationship category, how am I doing today? In the health category, how am I doing today? In the career category, how am I doing? And just make small incremental improvements in all of the categories. My favorite quote is, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And really what that means is the energetics behind your actions is the most important. If you do things with a positivity, improvement mindset, you're winning. If you're doing things, but your mindset is, this sucks, I'm just doing it, but I don't want to do this. Oh, I'm on this cleanse. Oh, I have to work out. Well, you're just negatively fueling all of your actions and you are not improving. You're actually probably just making it worse because now you're resenting the things that you're doing, and that's not beneficial.
Right. Yeah. It brings back in that negativity. And I think that was actually a really good analogy with the pie. And I also think that's kind of what you're going with the real life, but better. So if you wouldn't mind explaining kind of what you're doing with real life, but better, and the type of people you're trying to bring together and the purpose that you're trying to achieve with it.
Yeah. So with real life, but better, essentially it's a movement of consciousness. It's a movement of health, of happiness, of freedom. It's mindset. It's kind of embodying everything from a perspective of duality, embodying everything on the positive spectrum. It's about expansion. It's about really shifting the paradigm from this old paradigm of disease and depressed to this new paradigm of expression and health and freedom. And so that's the mission. And the community that I've built is a network of naturopaths, nutritionists, alchemists, coaches, mentors, and we're a part of a greater community we're called Superhero Academy, and I paired up with one of my partners, Mark Angelo, who runs Superhero Academy, and together we have a big tribe, and we raise the flag of freedom culture, and it's really to liberate humans, to liberate the earth of all the pain and suffering.
Oh, that's really, really powerful. Where can people connect with you that would like to look at your website, look at Real Life But Better, check you out on social media?
Yeah, so you can find my website, reallifebutbetter.com, and on social media, we also have a Facebook page, and then on social media, it's Samantha Lotus across all platforms. You can Google it, you can connect with me there, add me to Facebook, Instagram. I just love connecting with people and growing the network, and yeah.
I'll make sure to add all of your social links to the show notes when I release this episode. But I have two final questions. The first one is, what is your definition of adversity and what does it mean to you?
Yeah. So adversity can be seen, again, it's duality. It can be seen as, I suffered adversity. It was hard and it was challenging and it was this handicap that like really pulled me down. And you can look at it that way and in the victim mentality. But for me, adversity is like, life is just this video game, and this is just this challenge that I get to overcome. It's like this fun obstacle.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good analogy too at this day and age because I mean, face it, so many teenagers or even, even adults play a lot of video games and or we're on our phones a lot through social media. And I think it's important to kind of put it in a perspective that way because we struggle with, anytime we have a challenge that, why is this happening to me? My life is, really bad. And when you think of it as a video game and there might be obstacles that you face and that you can overcome them and you can keep achieving and there's new levels, I think that kind of changes your mindset on the challenges that we face in life.
Yeah, because Gary, would you want to play a video game where you just walk through it? You start, you walk through it, everything's rosy, and you get to the finish, and that's it. Like, no one would play that game.
No, it would be, yeah, it'd be boring, but that's what a lot of us expect in life. And when those challenges arise, it puts people in a depressive state and, life sucks is kind of the mindset.
Yeah, I think that challenges are so great because it gives you the contrast. Like when life sucks so badly and you're just so down, and then you figure out how to overcome that, right? You mastermind the plan to overcome whatever that was. And then when you pulled yourself up and picked yourself off the ground and you're standing at the top of the mountain now, the contrast from how low you were to how high you are is the best feeling in the entire world. It's so great, and you would have never experienced how great it is unless you had that low. So I feel that these lows are really just gifts to make us appreciate how amazing life is once we overcome them.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I think also when you have those lows, it really is an opportunity of self-reflection and you really have to discover what your core values and your core beliefs are. And when you discover those are also kind of the torch that guide you to overcoming whatever situation you may be facing. And as you continue to overcome that, you continue to build up on those values and those core beliefs. And that's what helps guide you to go from a victim to a victor and start to create even more growth in your life when you do overcome your challenges.
Absolutely. And I love that you've named what you're doing laugh at adversity. A lot of people might be thrown off at first being like, well, that's not cool. Like adversity, that's tough and you have to sympathize. But no, you get to laugh. You get to be like, yes, life. Thank you for throwing this at me to prove to myself that I am a badass and that I can overcome anything, that I'm strong and capable and able, and that I've got this, right? To shift into that victor mentality because there's no greater feeling.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. So what are 3 tips that you could give someone who is facing adversity in their life right now?
The first tip would be to know that you can overcome it. The cheesy old saying, if there's a will, there's a way. Well, yes, it's right. So 1, you need to know that you've got this. And then the second tip is be dedicated. Be dedicated to yourself overcoming this. Commit. Say, I am committed to figuring this one out. I'm committed to digging myself out of this hole. I'm committed to healing. And then the third one is to really reflect on the way that you speak to yourself, the way that you think about yourself, the way that you think about others. Asking, is this coming from a place of love or a place of fear or a place of hate? And just be kind to yourself and to others and to really, be in that positive vibration. Re-incline your mind and your emotions to think positively, to feel positively.
Right. Yeah. And I think all 3 of those are really important, especially the reflection, but also the commitment, because we live in a society that, technology is just moving at a rapid pace and there are so many distractions in our lives. So do you have any suggestions on how you can stay committed when there are just so many distractions around us?
Yeah. Ask yourself, what are my priorities? Right? What are my priorities? What do I have to take care of? And then it's just making a choice, right? Making a choice. Okay, yeah, my friends are going out partying all the time and I'm not feeling good. Well, I need to make the choice of, okay, what do I need? What is going to be in my best interest for moving me forward? And it's about discipline, dedication, drive, and just knowing that, like, hey, I come first. My goals come first. My health comes first. My mindset comes first. And then it becomes easy, really, because it just feels so good. And then you remember all the things that didn't feel so great that led to you not feeling good. And then it's just a momentum in a positive direction, and it becomes easy.
Right. Yeah. Once you start to realize the benefits, of actually skipping out and going out with your friends, maybe when you don't feel so good, or if you're really trying to, achieve a certain goal that you haven't been able to do, then those benefits start to outweigh, the sense of guilt that you might feel of, rejecting your friends on going out one night.
Yeah, and I think it's important, the saying that you are like a reflection of the 5 people that you surround yourself with the most. And I feel, going through healing or going through working on any kind of adversity, your friend circle will probably change. Your life will probably change. Your career might change. Your relationships might change. And that's great. Put yourself in positions and environments and in relationships that are going to help you thrive, because they might not necessarily be the same ones that got you into the mess in the first place. And so change happens. And when you change one aspect of your life, oftentimes the other slices of the pie are going to change as well. And just be prepared for that and know that it is for your joy. It is for your best interest.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point, because once you put yourself in, a growth mindset, or just growth in general in your life, there are times and there are people that you might just outgrow, which I think is a really good point.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. I agree.
So I do want to just take a moment to acknowledge you for, everything that you do. I think, just for the person that you are and how you've been able to, from your journey of being diagnosed with cancer and just taking the time and really the commitment and the discipline to investigate ways to heal yourself naturally. And then on top of that, it's not only that you healed yourself, but you've turned your story and your journey into a much bigger purpose. And now you are teaching so many people, how to become victors of their own life, and you're teaching them empowerment, and you're teaching them the importance of self-care and self-love. And I just wanted to acknowledge you and really thank you for everything that you're doing and all the lives and people that you are touching.
I'm going to receive that. Thank you so much for saying that, first and foremost, and for being a reflection, for doing what you do by sharing these stories and showing up, and all that you've overcome, and the mindset that you've adopted as well in your healing, and how you're just sharing that with the world. I'm super grateful to have connected with you and just to be alongside you on this similar mission for what we're putting out. So I'm super grateful for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think together we'll definitely help achieve more and do more and help more people.
Absolutely. And so a final thought on that is, for anyone listening, it's, to know and not to do is not to know. And so when you hear information that resonates with you, instead of just hearing it, you have to hear it, you have to digest it, assimilate it, and then be it, right? Action. Inspired action. That's what's really important here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can listen to everything that was talked about on this episode, but it's all about the action and application, because you can hear about all of these different processes, and it goes back to, actions speak louder than words. So you might hear all of these things, but you need to take action in your life if you want change, and you need to apply these things.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to thank you for the interview and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
If you guys want to connect with Samantha, then head over to the show notes at laughatadversity.com/4. Also, if you really enjoyed today's show, then make sure you head over to iTunes and leave us a review. That's the easiest way for the show to appear to others and help change their lives. Remember, together we can do more.